Well, hello everybody. Welcome to Sonictalk episode 787, recording today on the, what is the date? It's the 16th, isn't it? The 16th of, 17th of January. Gosh, the stuff goes flying by, and I'll tell you why, because this is the show. First of all, I'll explain what the show is. The show is a music technology podcast. We talk about all things to do with synthesizers, drum machines, software production, live streaming, studio work, hardware, electronic music, all basically anything that sort of surrounds the entire ecosystem that is about music production and music creation. So welcome one and all. Thank you very much to everybody in the chat. I want to say thanks to Wagyu, as ever, for moderating. Always much appreciated. Keeping the... we get quite a lot of lonely ladies pitching their wares here. We're not interested in that sort of thing around here. We just want to talk about music technology. So thanks, Wagyu, for keeping it real. Also want to say thanks to... give a few name checks. Nice to see Technomatic out there. Steve Elbows, Cres Head. Gosh, a whole bunch of people. Magical Synth Adventure. Oh, you're in the chat as well. Well, what a surprise. So are many other people. Before we get on to our guest, though, I just want to pitch a little bit of Patreon action to you. Hey, why not consider joining us on Patreon? Even at the basic layer, you'll get all of our non-show videos posted ad-free and also get access to the Sonictalk pre-show, as well as access to Discord and other things. If you go up a layer, you get things like, well, I've just posted the Behringer Cobalt Expander review. This is an early access. It will be available to you at the lower tier later, but for now, it's only upper tier. There's also posted a little project about... trying to figure out sticker tops for the Sonictalk controller. I got some great suggestions there, which I implemented. There's also a whole bunch of other things. We have samples. We have all kinds of other exclusive videos, quite often a lot of 360 stuff. In fact, we've got an EMOM coming up in March, and there'll be the 360 access to that sort of stuff. Also, if you join us at the end, before the end of the show, your name will appear in credits if you're at the Sonicstate star level. So why not consider joining us? It's very much appreciated. While we're at it, I want to say we will hopefully be posting samples from NAMM. That's one of the things we're going to try and do, is collect some samples of some of that new gear and provide that to our Patreon members. But that's it for now. Thank you very much for listening. If you are already supporting us, thank you. And if you're thinking about it, then please do. It's much appreciated. Yes, indeed. I just realised I hadn't pressed one of the buttons, so the links weren't getting posted. So hopefully that'll all be okay now. Fingers crossed. I'm a bit of kerfuffle because, as we know, NAMM is coming up next year. Next month, next week even. That's how discombobulated I am. Yeah, so we're getting ready for all of that. And then there's going to be another show there. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But let's get on to introducing some other guests. It's only flipping Rich Hilton over there. How are you doing, Rich? I think I'm in homage. Look, if you check us out, we're both in sort of blue plaid. So I don't know, I didn't send the memo. How embarrassing. It's like we've turned up at the ball in the same outfit. How are you, Rich? You well?
I'm very well, thank you. And I got the psychic memo, apparently.
Rich, of course, I guess, is concert season with Chic kind of tailed off a bit for January, or are you still heading out on the road regular on a weekly basis? What's happening at the moment?
We just did one private show out of the country, and there will be other hits along the way, but the schedule doesn't really kick back in until near summertime.
That must be. It must be quite hard because it's good, but it's like it's a big chunk of one's life and sort of the way you live your life when you're on the road, and then suddenly it's gone. It's kind of a very different. So do you get to kind of be a different Rich, or does that mean you just go all of those things on your to-do list that that need doing around the place? Now that's when you get to do them.
Well, there's a transition that people don't really hear about or talk about that much, and I think you could do a whole show on that, the lifestyle transitioning, because all of your routines get blown out of the water every time you either go away or come back. And every time you come back, you reevaluate the routines you had before. And it's just a very interesting way to live. It's nice not being in a suitcase. It's nice having a refrigerator to go to when you're thirsty or hungry. But I mean, ultimately, the tour life is a blessing and the opportunity to perform is never lost on me. So ultimately, that rules the day for as long as they'll have me and as long as I can.
Interesting. I was interested what you say about, because I could imagine, often in one kind of likes to declutter, and being on the road is sort of almost the ultimate declutter. It's like, I have got just the things I need and nothing else. And when you get home, are you kind of looking at the bookcases going, yeah, God, well, I could probably get rid of a load of that stuff and we could put something else there instead. I mean, imagine, do you do a lot of that kind of thing when you get back, or is it?
Ta-da!
Hey, what's that? Oh, that's the Paulee. Yeah, nice.
For example. And yes, this entire room represents what you just said. There's a tremendous amount of decluttering that needs to happen in this room, starting this far away right here, and then moving on to that corner and that corner and even that corner. And yes, but not every time. But right now I'm in I have time and this needs to be organized mode.
Oh, lovely.
So that's part of the challenge.
I fancy some of that. I like to be a bit of that. I'm sort of pinballing between massive amounts of kind of, event planning and after this, it's because we've got our EMOM coming up March the 1st. I forgot to mention that, actually. And also, OSMOSE competition ends in a couple of days. I think I should probably, if I press that button, that'll be the link to the OSMOSE competition ends January the 20th. Do that. And the EMOM is bit.ly/Sonic EMOM 4. Tickets available now. March the 1st is when we're doing it. Anyway, sorry, that I should have done that in the housekeeping. Let's see who else we've got. Oh, it's Matt Hodson. There he is, Matt Hodson, aka Maths.
Hello.
Aka, well, now working with Stylophone, I guess, full disclosure. So you're gainfully employed, and you're going to NAMM as an actual exhibitor this time, right?
Yes, I'll be there. We'll all be there. The Stylophone team will be there. Really looking forward to it. So come by the booth, particularly if you want to get hands-on with a couple of the new releases that we've announced this year. So if you want to have early access, they're going to be there. Come and have a play with it all. Really looking forward to seeing everyone. But yeah, it's going to be a different experience being on the shop floor, if you like. But it's always lovely to see the same people whenever I go to places like NAMM. You see all the friends from the community, all those people you speak to online throughout the year. So it's same, when you go to Super Booth and things like that, it's like meeting your extended family in a way. So it's a beautiful thing.
Nice. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Of course, we had we'll probably get onto this quite shortly because we had Matt in the studio where we filmed a piece on the new Stylophone DS-2, which is obviously one of the topics that we'll talk about. But before we do that, we'll head over to Paulee, who is there in the studio. Paulee, Magical Synth Adventure. I still haven't got the button back. I have actually now fixed the controller so that all the tops stick on and they're all varnished and none of the inks come off. Thanks very much to our friends at the Discord. In fact, I think we've got a button. Yeah, is there a Discord? Yeah, if you want to join us. No, not in the Discord. It's on Patreon, isn't it? We had a discussion about that. Anyway, how are you, Paulee? You well?
It's our 18th anniversary, Nick. Well, it was a couple of days ago. Me and you. 18 months since that very first Sonicstate 718 where you had no guests. And I said, I know some crap about synths. Shall we go on? And then, I did it from work in the back of a mental health day centre. And there we go. Here we are 18 months later.
Excellent.
I expected flowers, really, but it's okay.
Well, maybe I should have done that at the 12th anniversary, not the 18. Just sort of, it doesn't have the same cachet. I'm not sure, but fair point.
It's nice, though.
Fair point.
It's nice, though.
Well,
but other than that... Sorry. Other than that,
I was just about to...
I've got some cool things in this week. One we'll talk about in a bit because it's on the topics list, but I've got another couple of cool things. One is a very, 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 very yellow Eurorack case.
Oh, we got a Eurorack case.
Very, very yellow.
Danger.
Well,
there's nothing in it yet.
There's some modules awaiting to go in. Between Matt and Robin, I've dipped back into Eurorack, but it's only, I think, 84 HP. That's fine. It's only 84 HP 6 use, so it can't go too badly, you know.
Yeah, but you know how it goes, Paulee. It's like,
I know.
we all say we're going to start small, and then look, that happens. Basically, you end up with all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've already got 1046 HP down here, but I was like, since I last bought Eurorack, all this weird stuff has been released. You know, when I was buying Eurorack originally, there was Mutable, there was Dupfer, there was some cool stuff, but nowadays it's absolutely wild what you can get, so I dip my toes back in. The other thing is something that maybe a couple of the older computer geeky viewers might like. But it's essentially an Emu Proteus on a card. I'll show you. Oh, there we go.
Wrong.
I forgot
that's
my
that
camera
one.
is.
Oh, right, okay. PCI card, right.
That bit there is the Proteus where my thumb is wiggling up and down, and then the rest of it's just auxiliary thing to make it work. So I'm and you can get the software to edit the Proteus sounds on your desktop, on your old computer desktop. So I'm looking forward to doing a video on that. Because as we know,
that is niche.
Computer junk is my thing. It's very, very niche, but you know, I can pull it off, Nick. It's fine.
Yeah,
I'm personable enough to pull off very dull, niche, dry subjects. So there we go. But yeah, that's me anyway. And of course, last thing, awaiting child number 2. So I'll unlikely be here by next week because the child will definitely be out by then. We're hoping.
Right.
So there we go. That's
me. Gosh, you're getting to the crunch. All right. Well, if you're called away suddenly, I will. We will know what happens. But all the best.
That's
right. Okay. Well, should we get on to some topics then? We've got some topics. Let's go for. Now. We're starting to get some stuff released. I mean, obviously, people announced pre-NAMM, but I don't think anybody was expecting. Nobody was expecting this. This is very teenage engineering, isn't it? Sort of looks a bit like the cross between the pocket operator and the. I can't remember what the other one is. The video one without a display. It's kind of interesting. I think it has 6 tracks, sequencing, song mode, a whiff of the Swedish meatball about it, is what I put. Sampling, a microphone. I mean, it's decidedly un-Yamaha. I mean, that's the first thing. It's nothing like what Yamaha do. Yamaha don't do this kind of thing. I mean, I suppose in a way it's similar because it's got a utilitarian look to it, but it's also got some design and some things that Yamaha... It's just not Yamaha. It's got, I think it's got a Reface DX engine. It's got AWM2. It's got sample playback. It's got effects. It's got a whole load of stuff. I mean, this looks kind of interesting, but also nobody knew this was coming. Obviously, we're going to go and see Yamaha at NAMM. 349 quid, which obviously somebody must have looked at it and gone, we'll have a bit of what that teenage engineering is doing, because after seeing it in the top reverb list for the last 5 or 10 years, they're probably going, yeah, can we have some of that? I wonder if that's what's happened. Paulie, you were vocal during that. I'm guessing you must have it. You haven't got any teenage engineering stuff, have you?
Yes, I don't, but I have noticed that Yamaha do occasionally drop the odd quirky product, don't they? Mostly it's playing it quite safe. And obviously they got their fingers in many pies, you know, acoustic instruments as well, guitars. They make really good guitars, by the way, Yamaha, for the money.
They certainly do.
But the other thing, I guess, is, what was I going to say? There's the Tenorion and things like that, you know, occasionally.
Oh, yes, of course.
Something that's a bit cool and a bit quirky. This one looks quite good, and I obviously went straight to the manual because I'm all about algorithm porn and finding out what you can actually edit on a synth. So with this one, what was interesting is some of the most deeper editing things, like the FM, like the real deep FM editing, I think is offloaded to an extra app. But that said,
with a lot of visualization as well, yeah.
Yeah, with a lot of visualization, which isn't a bad idea, but for the nitty gritty, you can just on the device choose the FM algorithm, the modulator amount, the modulator frequency, and the modulator feedback. So you can do the kind of,
structural
get
changes,
an FM patch and tweak it, some structural changes, and with the samples you can change the start point and end point, which of course is very famous from electron machines, where you can like sequence a load of things and that trigs and then change the start and end point to get kind of granular textures. So I think they've put enough in there that it's quite a nice little sound design tool on the go. The odd thing is, though, Nick, that grey and orange thing is one instrument, isn't it? When I looked at it originally, I assumed it was 4 different colours.
2-bit,
and they just split the photo down the middle to show the 4 different colours, and I don't know, it looks a little bit awkward. I'd go for a whole orange one personally to go with my Waldorf microwave.
Well, some people say the orange. Some people say the orange one has a sort of, there's a slight hint of cigarette about it, which is I suppose.
Okay,
I could see that. It's the OPZ is the thing that it's like you do. Actually, the OPZ is. I found it frustratingly obscure to use. I think this looks like it's got a bit more. It's got lots of buttons down the side. The OPZ new is only 50 quid, or no, sorry, about 80 quid more. So that's interesting. Right. So they've obviously gone for that. I don't know. I'll come to you, but I mean, there's a real cult around this whole notion, this kind of device, but it's never been the sort of thing. Oh, actually, didn't they do those little grey things, like the little, they had a little drum machine and a pad machine, little tiny kind of, that went with 4 tracks many, many years ago. I mean, it's been a very long time.
I don't remember that, but it's an interesting one, this, because I mean, let's have a look at it. What is it? So you've got a sampler, you've got a sequencer, it's got an inbuilt microphone, you can connect it to your computer. It's got quite an extensive sequencer, by the way, as well. It's not just sort of your nuts and bolts. You can do, as Paulie said, you can do your trigs and all that kind of thing. For 349 quid, which is around the same price, I believe, of the recent, it was a Teenage Engineering one that just came out. Which is
yes, yes, I can't even remember what it is. The Super KO, whatever it was. Yeah, of course you're right.
Yeah, and they're kind of comparable. The Super KO, you get a screen, which some people may or may not like. This, as Paulie says, attaches also to an app on the computer to opens up extra functionality that I don't think you can get to on the interface. So for some people, I don't know. Some people don't really like that whole kind of hybrid approach where you buy a piece of hardware and then to access certain things, you've then got to attach it to a computer. It's not the end of the world for me. I don't mind that. But what really sets this apart from the Teenage Engineering one that was just announced, I think there's a couple of things. One is the visualizer. So you can do live visuals with it. And I think that's really cool because... sync to the things that you're doing on the machine itself. There are characterizations for each of the synth things, and it will be in time. And it has, absolutely. Augmented reality into it as well. So this is an interesting step, isn't it, into electronic music producers' worlds? Visuals, augmented reality, and it's one step in that journey of new technologies that are coming in. We're not just thinking about music now, we are thinking about visuals, aesthetic. And the other thing I think that really sets this apart is you've got the performance pads, which allow you to assign to certain things. And I think they're really important. It's all very well having a step sequencer and a sampler and that kind of thing, but I always gravitate towards things that have got performance, dials, pads, whatever, where you can really integrate with the music. You can play with it in real time. I'm not really one of those kind of set it and leave it. I'm always wanting to for
you won't let it lie. Yeah.
So they're the main things. It's got Wi-Fi as well, by looks of it as well, Nick. So you can transfer sounds. This is quite cool, and this will be really quick from your computer straight to it. And there's Bluetooth MIDI in there. I mean, it's got some very good connectivity. I must admit, you've got the USB-C if you want that. So, yeah, really, it's a really interesting one. I guess this is good for those people that don't want to go down the Octatrack route where you have got really extensive sequencing and that kind of thing and don't want to lay out £1,000 or whatever. And the same for some of the other teenage engineering stuff as well. So it sits in quite a good place. But be interested to see how people receive this one compared to the teenage engineering one.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be going to see Yamaha at NAMM, obviously. But Rich, I mean, Yamaha stuff is typically, it's like touring grade, high quality stuff, as well as pianos. I mean, I'm not saying that this isn't. I'm just saying it just seems like a very different kind of product category suddenly.
Well, it's VL tone.
I suppose, yeah.
Written later in a way. I mean, everybody wants to make their own VL tone, it seems. This product looked great, and I agree with everything everybody's set up to that now, so I won't spend too much time on it. But I think for me, the most important thing about this product is the fact that you can bring all of your own sounds into it, and it's also very quick to sample live events if you choose to do that, and it also allows you to bounce things down and put them on a single button and continue to develop. And it just actually looks like it could be a lot of fun to use, which is interestingly something nobody seems to stress in their marketing of these things anymore. But if it is, and it looks like in the user videos that it is, if it's fun to use, then this is really a kind of a cool thing. The only thing, so I like the fact that you can customize the sound set as deeply as you want, and it gives you a lot of really interesting sound engines, which there was a little more synth engine flexibility in terms of how many you can get going at the same time. But, you can't have everything for $400, and I get that. And I don't know, looks like a lot of fun.
It does, yeah.
Cool product.
There's a really good, if you go to Anderton's, there's a really good video. It's like an hour where they go into it, and there's a guy who's pretty good on it, and you start to get an idea of what's going on. I mean, we'll shoot some stuff at NAMM, and maybe we'll get one in. But from what I saw of that video, there was more, it seemed more intuitive to use than the OPZ, which, again, I found quite obscure, whereas this is a bit bigger. So you got more kind of, there's buttons down the side, buttons across the top, and all sorts of legend. They're using interesting kind of things like, so they have a big long list of parameters, and they're fixed position, but they light up depending on what mode you're in, so that the knobs are freely assignable, and if there's 4 things lit up, then the 4 knobs will correspond to those. So they've done some clever stuff without having to go down the route of a display. So interesting. Anyway, I thought it was worth putting in there. I think we should probably just play an ad. Now, a caveat here, I haven't had a new creative, so I don't know if the sale will still be on, but do remember, if you want to use the code SONIC10 at checkout, you can. But here's a word from our friends over at iZotope. This sales season, take a look at the iZotope Creative Mix Bundle. With Vocal Synth, Stutter Edit 2, Neoverb and Neutron 4 elements, your mix will never sound so good. Let your sound palette shine with these mixing and creative effects. The Creative Mix Bundle is yours for $49, saving an astonishing $497. So head over to iZotope.com and save big. Yes, and as I say, I think that sale may now be over, but there are still savings to be had. So do check out iZotope.com and use the code SONIC10 at checkout to save yourself 10% on anything you purchase there. We thank them very much for their support. Okay, right, what's next on the list? Well, I tell you what, let's go to topic number 3. This is another Blue Cat product, Fader Hub, which is, as far as I can tell, is essentially a kind of VST host with network connectivity and streaming and multi-track recording. It seems to do an awful lot of things, actually. one of the things they're pitching is the fact that you can do peer-to-peer LAN or WAN connectivity for remote rehearsing and jamming, as well as recording that whole kind of stuff with kind of pretty good low latency stuff. I mean, they don't quote specifically, but there was a 600 milliseconds delay, so I'm not quite sure how that works, whether you delay one end and get everybody in time, but it looks like a really useful piece of kit. This is, I think it's going to be about €79, no subscription, which for a kind of online jamming thing, yes, big, really. I mean, the Elk system, which costs £10 per user per month. Yeah, that's why we're not hearing more about it, because nobody really wants to do that and spend the money on hardware. Rich, I know that you're fond of the Blue Cat stuff. I know that some of the amp sims and the things that they do, have you checked this out? Have you tried any of the network capabilities of this? So it does look like people have tried many times to do this kind of remote collaboration and make it easy. Steinberg, notably, it was quite complicated to set up. This one, maybe not. What do you think?
Well, I have used his connector product, which has been in existence for a while. And this is sort of based in the capabilities of that, but written into a different style of interface. But their interfaces are pretty consistent across the products. They give you a complete set of audio tools, the usual processors, dynamics, swoosh boxes, ambiances, and things like that, some modeling stuff. And then they also give you access to all of your plugin folders, your VST, your AU stuff, and you can host things in any combination in any way you want.
Yeah.
As relates to the long history of troubles with this, in order for this thing to work well over any kind of distance, you have to have a slamming internet connection at both ends. And most people don't necessarily have those kinds of, certainly in this country, upload speeds. People have download speeds, and you're paying for the download speed, and they tout the download speed and you buy it. But what they give you for upload is usually a tenth or less of what you're paying for in download. And that's one of the bottlenecks that I think is likely to come into play as far as, and also apparently distance is involved.
Yeah.
Very nicely, Guillaume, who wrote this thing, if I've pronounced that right, has responded to some questions on my Facebook page about this and related some of the experiences he's had in terms of distances that can be used and what kinds of latencies you can expect. But there is no such thing as zero latency web collaboration. It just it doesn't happen that way. So it is it's really, really well put together, well organized. It gives you all of those capabilities. You can put his amp sim, which is his guitar processor, which is called Axiom, which is far and away my favorite guitar processing software of any that I've ever used. And I've been testing this stuff since the early 90s. You can put anything in there and you can use it in any way you want. But the effectiveness in terms of the collaboration has to do with the distance and the quality of the connection. Yeah. In fact, it has everything to do with the distance and the quality of the connection.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's, you can't really do anything about physics, really. That's just the way it goes. But I wonder if there's one question that came up. I'm sorry, it's gone past now, but somebody asked in the chat room whether or not everybody has to have this. So everybody, rather than subscriptions, everybody has to own this piece of software so it can interconnect with each other. There's not a sort of player version.
There may be a way to integrate somebody who has their connector software, which is more compact and sort of a single channel in and out kind of event.
Right, that makes sense.
So it's possible that there is a tiered level of availability with that, but no, it doesn't you don't just look at your screen and have it happen. There has to be some kind of software between you and
some kind of transaction
to facilitate this.
Yeah, totally get it.
And it's not expensive. Even this thing isn't expensive at all. So it's not like it's costly, but I think connector is even cheaper than this. And for one-to-one peer-to-peer stuff, you can do that. And I have done that. And it works depending on the connectivity and the distance.
Well, the thing that looked pretty cool about it is because it works standalone. One of the case uses they had set it up. It was in standalone mode, just basically sort of ran a few channels into it, a couple of VSTs, some MIDI instruments, blah, blah. It can record all of that, but also can stream the stereo output via a connector into something like OBS. So you don't have to run a DAW. You've got a sort of lighter footprint. I know, Matt, we did this, didn't we? We did the, had the kind of the MIDI jamming. That was probably easier because latency on MIDI is a little less troublesome than the latency on audio. But I mean, it's a useful thing, but this does look like it actually has a lot of utility outside of that wide area kind of jamming connectivity as well.
It does, man. I mean, if you was to ask me, like when I was a student many years ago, if I had the ability to jam with somebody over the other side of the pond in real time, that was not a thing. And this certainly is a thing. But what you want it to be seamless, don't you? You want it to be open up your DAW, drop something in, somebody does it at the other side, and then they just connect. And you want it to be that easy, really. And you want it to be a real simple process, because there's nothing worse than a vibe killer when it comes to technology ruining what should be, a jam session or whatever. And the MIDI thing that we did, actually, once it was set up, it kind of, I think it would be just kind of plug and play. But what I got thinking about with this, usually as you know, Nick, I tend to always think about misuse of these kind of things. And I think what I'd like to do is see if it was possible to send CV that way, using a DC coupled sound card or something like that, or Bitwig, for example, can generate CV and gates and things like that in the software, and then kick that out of something like the Expert Sleepers ES9 or something like that. I'm just wondering, would it be possible for somebody to send me a load of CV and gate from wherever they are, and then I pump it into my modular, effectively taking their idea of a song and using my setup, my oscillators, my filters, and all that kind of thing to make their music, and then I can record it down for them and send it to them, and that kind of thing. So that's something that I'd really like to try. For a while, I did do a service like that where people could send me their tracks, and I would replace their bass or chords or whatever with my synths that I had. Used to be called onlinesynths.com, and that was really good fun. And I always wondered, would there be a real-time way that we could do this, so we could really talk about things? It's all very well sending someone something and going, replace my bass, but you want to have that dialogue and that connection with them and talk about, getting the right sound and, how much sawtooth you want or how much PWM or whatever it is that you're after. If you can do that in real time, then that's a winner, because, making music with people, it is about connection and communication and talking, and it's not a one-way thing. So, I mean, Rich speaks very highly of this company as well, Blue Cat, and I don't know enough about them, but the more Rich talks about them and the more I see them popping up, I think I need to start looking into them a little bit more, because they do seem to be doing some really good things and very high quality. And every time we talk about them on this show, I must admit, I'm impressed by what they can do.
Yeah, well, maybe we should check out this remote thing and see how it works. I know, Paulie, it's interesting, isn't it? That, I mean, remote. I mean, you could use this quite easily to send somebody something and then have them listen to it and then get back to you and say, can you change it, and then send it again. And there are ways, as far as I could tell, there are ways that you can increase and decrease the latency and increase and decrease the quality depending on it. So you could use it to actually transmit in real time. But if not, you just record locally and then send them a file. I mean, it's not the end of the world, right?
No, but I think the collaborative process between musicians and non-musicians could also be, made better by software like this, because essentially, I'm someone who is working, remotely from a production studio in America, and they're doing all the video there, and then I send them and I update them with tracks and things like that. And we always talked about doing something that was a bit more live, like a live jamming composition. session, and life kind of got in the way. But wouldn't it be brilliant if, you know, I'm talking about the kind of person who is not a musician but really knows what they like a film director who doesn't play instruments but knows music and knows what kind of genre and mood they want to do, and has enough cultural appreciation and enough language in order to tell you what they want. And I think you know, those kind of relationships could really be, you know, improved by this, because, you know, you'd play something and they'd go, oh, can you try this instead on this instrument, all in real time, you know? I'm not entirely sure if it's possible to, like, remotely change. Can one person play? Are the EQ and effects shared? And can one person?
No, I think it's for the input.
The other plays,
for the input. But one thing I will say is, in the individual. So if I was singing and playing guitar and I had a load of effects on it, and I was playing to what you were sending me, I can record my local full res audio. And then I presume I could just send you what I just did. You know, like, here's the files I just recorded, if you like that. Easy peasy. So I think that sort of stuff. So it's a question of utility. So in many ways, it's sort of getting around some of the latency issues. Yeah.
We haven't heard you play guitar in quite some time. You used to play it quite regular on your reviews, didn't you? That you have a cool 60s looking weird guitar that I've never seen before.
Oh yeah, my Burns split sound. Yeah, Burns, I haven't played it for a long time.
You should play it more.
Just trying to think. Well, I guess it's the right wrist. I broke this wrist, so that's the finger's wrist rather than the fret wrist. So it might be possible. Yeah, maybe, but I don't. Actually, the only thing I did recently was the Behringer Cobalt expander, which is didn't require any guitar at all, so I guess not. Looks good though, and it's 20% off, so I think $79, €79 at the moment, and looks like a utility thing. Just quickly, there's a message from Nick Howes. Blue Cat connector works really well in my home studio. That and RTP MIDI to the Raspberry Pi / Synthian. Yeah, RTP MIDI is a pretty good system that we've used and talked about, although I don't know if it's been fixed, because it didn't work so well on the later versions of OS X. It's sort of got a bit weirdly out of sync and wasn't very I don't know if they fixed that, later on. Incidentally, I'm going to be speaking to Pete Brown, who's one of the evangelists for the Windows 2.0 MIDI gang, and he's going to give us an update on where we are with that at NAMM. So that's another thing we can look forward to. So anyway, I think that's probably it for that particular one. Let's get on to let's just have a word from our friends over at Native Instruments. Put your hands on some premium keys from Native Instruments and save up to 66% on a world-class production suite with Complete 14. Pick up a brand new keyboard loaded with all the sounds you could ever need. It's a match made in production heaven. With Cyber Seasons deals, save for a limited time only at nativeinstruments.com. And once again, while that sale might not be in current, you can save 10% by using the code SONIC10 at checkout on software purchases from nativeinstruments.com. Okay, right. Let's see we'll do. I think we should do two more at the very least. But let's do the. I don't know whether we should go. Let's go for Liven Mega Synthesis instrument, shall we? Let's do
Revive the sonic
we saved this
of the golden era. Mega Synthesis.
YM2612 FM engine. 4-operator algorithm. Yeah, this is the latest in the Liven. Paulie, you didn't do that ad, did you? That is just like you made the visuals for that ad. No, you didn't, but you have one. We managed to snaffle you one for review. Gosh, it's bigger than I thought. Actually,
yes, it's great.
But this is the new Liven Mega Synth 239. Very affordable. It's their whole range. We seem to be heading towards an era of more affordable impulse type instruments. I think maybe the kind of of course, the expensive and the kind of quality, the crafted electronic stuff is still there. But I think as maybe recession bites a little bit more, these are the sort of things that people are more likely to be buying on an impulse and in greater numbers. 6-track layout, 3 FM synthesis track, 2 PSG synthesis tracks, and 1 PCM sample track. You've got it. Yes. You're currently reviewing it. What do you make of it so far?
Well, I have a little demo pattern that I just thought I'd play.
Go on. Okay, cool. I mean, that sounds tight. The MIDI sounds tight on that.
It's fun as well. The LFOs go up to audio rate as well. So
woohoo!
There you go. Weird noises.
You'll be a happy bunny. Excellent.
Yeah, very happy bunny. So what can I say? The thing that initially struck me, and I'll mention it in the review, is there's no included power adapter. Which I get it runs on batteries, and I know for the 130-ish pound Volca range, I kind of thought, but for this, which I think is like 180-ish pound, I thought I'd like a PSG. But other than that, I'm having a lot of fun. I have so many FM synths like coming out my wazoo, 2 op, 4 op, 6 op, maybe even an 8 op somewhere hidden. But if you put something in a little retro Mega Drive package, I'm gonna be all for that. And there is this little overlay you have to put on when you are editing the FM parameters, which I guess is a compromise to have a full 4-op FM engine and all that PCM stuff. I mean, it's certainly easier to use than like a Volca FM, but no, I'm having a lot of fun, and I'll do like a little I'll do a little video review and put it up sometime next week. But yeah, it's definitely a kind of treat myself kind of impulse buy, and I guess they've made some things cheap, like it's made of plastic. These are quite spongy kind of keys, but actually the knobs are really nice. And I think, to be honest, because it's got MIDI anyway, DIN MIDI, I'd rather have good quality knobs than maybe more high quality rubber buttons, because you get a lot of wobbly knobs, don't you, on cheaper gear.
Yeah, that's true.
These are refreshingly firm knobs. So there we go. That's
just one word. I wouldn't post it next week because NAMM will be coming out and it'll get swallowed. You should wait till after NAMM, and then it'll.
That gives me more time, then, doesn't it? To kind of
it sure does.
Be in FM.
It sure
heaven.
does.
That's brilliant.
But it's interesting. It's interesting. Excellent. It's interesting. I mean, the whole kind of game sound engine. I mean, for a lot of people, it really encapsulates this sort of whole nostalgic era where you've got the entire and you've got that entire sound pattern. I guess I was never really a gamer, so I don't know. I know, Rich, Sega Mega Drive. I guess probably a bit late for you, but your kids maybe. I don't know. It's just not something I know.
It's fun. It looks like fun, and watching Paulee operate the thing confirms for anybody who's watching that it's fun. So what more do you want for a $239 self-contained music-making device? I mean, it's an interesting contrast with the Yamaha product, actually, like the compare and contrast vision of where each one excels. But this thing looks like it's immediately ready to go, fun to use, easy to operate, and the Yamaha does too to some extent, but it kind of goes in a different direction. But this thing, the fact that it sounds like a Sega video game means I have no romance about that, but I don't mind it, and it sounds great and looks like fun. So that to me is the mark of a good product, is it's reasonably priced, and it hopefully will last you a while, and it should be fun to use and make good sounding noises.
Yeah. Well, about the first batch is sold out.
Yeah, I'm
239, but But I mean, this is this looks kind of fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. I really like the look of this, and I grew up with all that stuff. You know, I started out with an Atari ST. That was me, and now I've got one of those. I've got one of those little computers. It's basically Raspberry Pi, I think, and it's full. It's got every single game on there you can imagine, from any console you can think of, any. It's there. It's like so many games. I've got one of those things, and I love it. So, Paulie, a couple of questions. Does it do?
Yes.
As well,
grill me.
Kind of like fi-y sort of game sound. Does it do high-end stuff as well, or is it very much focused on that sort of sound?
So, I mean, I had my little experiments trying to break it, you know.
Yeah.
In terms of the sound engine, I went up to a very high pitch and started messing with the audio rate LFOs, and there wasn't loads of aliasing, you know.
No,
There's a 9-bit DAC option you can turn on, and a slightly capacitive filter you can turn on to
I love it.
emulate the Mega Drive / Sega Genesis. You can't do this on Nintendo kind of sound, but it's actually pretty clean. The PSG sound channels are basically, you know, kind of a shift register noise, so that's a bit more grungy, and the PCM is either 4-bit or 8-bit, so that is pretty downsampled. But you can put your own samples in, so I'm gonna maybe sample some vocals in, because I like lo-fi vocals.
That would sound
but
awesome.
the actual FM sounds are actually pretty good quality. I didn't notice anything, you know, untoward when I was on my headphones or anything.
The drums sound really authentic in that way, in that style. And as my other question is as well, because of the type of sound that it's naturally producing, do you think has it made you play in a particular way? I know that might sound a bit odd, but you know, you buy a synth and it does make you play in a particular way. And watching you then, go on.
Yeah, some of the presets and sounds were designed by Yuzo Koshiro, who programmed the soundtracks to some of these games behind me. And the interesting thing is, in my first little session at least, when I put that little funky bass line in, the preset sounds definitely lend themselves to kind of, should we say, charming video game kind of explorations and things that you could imagine some kind of fantastical character jumping through a stage to, you know? But what I'm going to do next is a real sort of down-tempo kind of vibe thing, and see where that goes, because a lot of that music is very, you know, upbeat. So if I take the tempo down, maybe make a couple of custom patches, because it's 4-up FM, you can make whatever you want, essentially. And I'm going to try and push it in a more Boards of Canada-ish kind of direction. So
because you're right, a lot of that music does sort of tend to sit in the higher range when you hear it on computer games, and the kind of lines that you was playing are quite fast and stuff. But really, I'd love to hear this I'll keep an eye out for that, Paulie. I'd love to hear how that sounds.
But
there
are examples. A couple of £100. There are examples of slow video game music. Like there's one from the game Donkey Kong Country, which is like an underwater level, which is very ambient and beautiful and something that you don't recognize as video game music. But I've got to say the trappings of this did push me in a kind of Yuzo Koshiro, my character's bombing through a Neo-Tokyo subway fighting punks kind of, you know, level kind of sounds. But I'm going to have some fun with it, I think. Definitely.
Excellent. Cool. I would just like to point out, we've got a great comment. Technomatic says that this could actually be the title for the show, Sonicstate the Hedgehog.
Sonicstate the Hedgehog, I love it.
Yeah, we might have to have that. Thank you very much, Technomatic. A great one. Excellent. Well, the Liven range is now increasing and increasing. I mean, there's more and more of it, and they've obviously got a rich seam. They've obviously figured out how to just sort of pour the different sound machines into, into these cases without having to kind of reinvent the wheel every time, and yet they're different enough to really appeal. So good on them. That's what I say. Okay, we should probably get on to the Stylophone topic because, well, Matt's here and he works for Stylophone. Disclaimer, but let's have it. Yep, the CPM DS-2. This is desktop drone voice, 2 oscillators with, you can Euro rack it, so you can take it out of the desktop case and actually have it in your rack. So each of the oscillators 3340s based, and the filter, there's a filter on each oscillator voice, which is 3320, which is sort of thing you have in a Pro 1, Elka Synth X, that kind of thing. And there's effects and a little mod matrix. We had it here. Matt came in this week. We'll have a video out on this on Friday. I think it might be the only place you get to see that before NAMM. So yeah, this is pretty cool. I think we had quite a lot of fun with this. One of the byproducts that I noticed that we did is I was playing this. Yeah, Matt's got it there. I was playing the keyboard, and Matt was playing it, and we could have actually both had a keyboard into it and sort of been jamming along and getting kind of really quite large and impressive sounds out of it. I'll come to you last, Matt, because there maybe there'll be some questions that can be asked. I don't know. I mean, I know this isn't necessarily your kettle of fish in terms of modular stuff, but it's in a desktop, so you don't need to hook it up to modular, and it patches within itself. It does sound pretty good. The 3340 oscillators are certainly got the vibe. I know, Rich, do you find the need for drone? There's no VCAs in this, so there's all sort of a very much drone-based thing. Did you nearly not switch your mic on there? Was it nearly a bingo drink? Whoops, a daisy.
I was fascinated by this product. It sounded great. I thought it looked like it would be fun and interesting to use. The fact that it'll integrate into a Eurorack system or standalone or be patchable within itself is really, really cool and interesting. Again, it's another small size, purpose-driven device that's suited to one particular style of presentation, or certain styles more than others, I should say, not unlike the Yamaha we talked about, not unlike the thing we just talked about with the video game sounds in it, and looks like a really cool product to me. I wish them well with it. I think it's great that Stylophone is producing products. I think it's great that Matt's working with them, and I thought this was an exciting product. I can't wait to hear what Matt's got to say about it.
Yeah, and there's more. I mean, this is the beginning, because it's the CPM range, so we're expecting some more stuff. I know, Paulee, please, you got that extra Eurorack case. Is this something that you're going to be looking forward to getting in? Should point out, I think it's about 209 UK pounds. It's also probably won't be here until later on in the year, because it's sort of pre-production what we looked at, so it won't be here right away. You're not going to be able to buy it straight off.
I've got to say the inclusion of the names of the filter and oscillator chips in the spec is quite attractive to me. I'm like, oh, okay. Because I'm kind of nerdy with synth, components, and I'm like, oh, I don't have any like 3320s in my studio kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean? And then that makes me kind of interested. But the other thing was, my initial kind of jazz piano player brain was like, I don't have any need for this. There's no VCAs. There's no way I could, write insane solo lead lines on this. But then the other part of me, which is more for sound exploration, was like, actually, this could be another thing which takes me out of my comfort zone, and gets me different compositional results than if I would to, attack an instrument with decay and release as the focus. The other thing I really liked is that they've got the PT2399 delay in there, and I absolutely love a PT2399 delay. I've got one in my existing modular. It just gets really gritty and nice, and it's one of those things that really pairs well with kind of more pristine analog, and then you run it through this kind of gritty digital delay that was the circuit was made for karaoke machines essentially, and yeah, that kind of excites me. So I think could be onto a winner, and it's Eurorack compatible as well. And we'll see, I guess, because you could chuck this in a rack with, if you wanted like a more regular synth voice, just get a couple of VCAs and envelopes. You know, Bast or Skis 2, for instance, is a couple of envelopes with VCAs built in, and then you're done. Do you know what I mean? So that's true. Definitely something that's brilliant. I like
nice.
It. Very cheap as well, very reasonable.
Yeah, it is very reasonable. Matt, first question is, how many HP is it when it's in the rack? Do you have that to hand?
Yeah, it's 42 HP.
Okay.
So
chunky boy.
Yeah, so it's that big, 42 HP. But you know, you're getting your filters, and you're getting 2 oscillators and the LFO and effects in there as well. And the speaker still works when it's in the rack.
Wow.
As well, so you can. You know, one thing I was doing was using it as putting a little piezo mic on there and using it as an envelope follower and sending that out into the rack. So, but
I forgot to ask. I've got a question. Is it possible to intercept the oscillator before it gets to the filter? So could you run the oscillator into a VCA and then back into the filter input for the same voice, or is the filter integrated? Is there a filter input, I suppose?
Yeah, because there is an output on each oscillator, but I think it is post filter. But I haven't actually tried that, so I don't know. But it is before the effects, so you could take out your oscillator, run it into whatever you want, and then there's an auxiliary input, so you can run it back in then and through the effects if you really wanted to. But it's I don't know if you can hear that actually. Can you hear that?
Oh, maybe not. Hold on, I've got a noise gate across you, so let me.
It's coming in on a different channel, but.
Yeah, I got it.
But yeah, 42 HP. But so you can run it on your rack. You can run it on batteries as well, so it's portable, completely portable. Or there's power supply as well. Someone was asking about that. In the
here's another one. Could you take other modules out, put them in that, and run the battery and use them to battery power your other Eurorack modules if you had it in the case, for instance? So are you basically getting a free Eurorack battery-powered desktop module?
Quite possibly, maybe. I have not tried that. Who knows? But I was really surprised actually that because you've got 1 volt per octave tracking, and all of this CV and gate is modular standard, if you like, and they've managed to get it powered from batteries. I was really surprised at that as well. I think DivKid messaged me about it as well. He's like, is that all working to your rack standards and running off batteries? I'm like, yeah, it is.
What batteries does it take?
It's got 8 AA batteries there.
8 AAs. So that would be...
beg your pardon?
6 volts. So that's 9 volts, isn't it? That's a 9 volt supply, essentially, with a regulator. It could be going up to more than that, I suppose. Yeah. Interesting.
But you're right, Paulie, about that delay. It is... it's got like a soft saturation on it. It's very vibey kind of delay. Yeah. And, I'm all about vibe and that kind of thing. So you can
love it.
Get some mad stuff. But, I mean, Nick and I did a video on this, so I don't want to, I guess, talk about too much because there's a lot more coming.
It'll be out, it'll be on Friday. That'll be coming out on Friday. We'll put it out probably Friday afternoon. Probably be the last video. I'm going to post the Behringer tomorrow, and we'll have this one on Friday. So 2 big videos before NAMM, and then goodness knows how many videos once NAMM starts going. We actually, speaking of NAMM, I suppose we should quickly just have a quick aside from there because it's now 5 o'clock. Amazing how time flies. We're going to NAMM. We'll be there Wednesday for press day, Thursday and Friday. Then on Saturday we're going to the Buchla and Friends event, which is let's see if I press that. That might, let me see. Buchla and Friends event. Yeah, I think that's That's what it is, isn't it? That's what yeah, there we go. That's a free one, Synth Maker. That's on Saturday, January the 11 till 6. About 20-minute drive, half an hour drive. That's all the information there. You could just register to get a ticket. We'll be there shooting because, as we thought, there wouldn't be that many synth kind of related releases at NAMM. In fact, as it turns out, I know Korg's got some stuff. Yamaha obviously got the Seqtrak. I think there's something new from Nord. There's various things that are going to be coming, which is actually, so there will be some big things that we can look at, as well as last year was quite a lot of pro audio, and there's a bunch of software that we're looking at as well. So yeah, we're gearing up for that. Anything else that anybody's looking at for NAMM? I mean, what do you think, in terms of, I mean, Matt, you're there working. I mean, this will be the first time you've exhibited, so that'll be an interesting thing. Is there anything you've seen that we should check out?
Well, something I'm personally looking for is a mixer that is like the Tascam Model 24. That is USB, so you plug it into your computer, you can multi-track out 16 channels to your computer, but I want it post-fader. Like everything out there is pre-fader tracking, and the last thing I want to do is be jamming in my studio, have a vibe going, and then I've got to get into my DAW and then reset all my levels to make it sound like it was when I was recording it. So please, Mackie, or whoever out there, make one of these with the option for post-fader recording over USB, please. 16 channel and a load of auxiliaries, so I can plug in my effects from here, guitar foot pedals, and just create the most awesome vibe. That's what I'm looking for. Now, I know Mackie's announced a few different mixers. I think it was only today or a couple of days ago.
Yeah, they have. I think they're kind of road. They're sort of some cross pollination, because they've got one which is a video mixer, which is obviously not what they're looking for. But
like podcasting one, but they have done like one I think called the Pro Effects, which is a take on their kind of Onyx range. I think it's like the next developing.
So no Firewire, be a bit more, because the Onyx was the one, wasn't it, for quite a long time?
Yeah.
that everybody used. Yeah, we had one of those.
Well, I loved that. They had that so right, and they also had their mixers so right for a long time, and then they got rid of loads of auxiliaries from them, and of course Firewire suddenly wasn't used anymore, and it all went to USB and things like that. What I'm trying to avoid is having to buy a separate mixer and a sound card and go back to that. I've done that. I did that for many years. I just want one less thing to have sat there in my studio.
Just a one-wire solution, yeah. I know
one-wire solution. So I'm looking to that. What else am I looking for? I'm looking forward to playing with a lot of different sequencers. I haven't even played with things like the Oxy. I don't know if they're there, but I'd really like to play around with that and have a play with that. I'm really interested in sequencers these days and performance opportunities. Like I was talking earlier about the Yamaha product, I'm really interested in finding performance sequencers, really, that you can integrate performance with and do really interesting things with and get it doing quite wild things with modulation and all that kind of thing. The Oxy looks like the one, and I've not been able to play with that. So a mixer, that, and then probably a load of want some massive gushing reverb and delay pedals and all that kind of thing.
No, I'm sure there'll be some of that. There's inevitably. Yeah. I don't know, Rich, are you've been, I don't know if you're planning on going out this year. I mean, I imagine you're probably looking forward to a bit of feet up in front of the TV for a while rather than zooming across the country. But is there anything that you'd like us to look out for, or that that and that can be spoken about, that that's coming?
Well, I mean, no, because your production is so comprehensive every year that to think that I'm going to sit here and think of something that you're not going to find on that floor seems absurd to me. So no, there's nothing really that I have in mind, although I'm really interested to see where these trends are going. The fact that we did 3 different products at approximately the same form factor, size, and approximately the same price range, all of which were small and low, which is interesting to me. So I'm going to be interested to see where those kinds of trends go. But I don't have anything in mind. My product design cap is over there.
Well, I mean, one
products in mind.
No, fair enough. I mean, one thing that we do know is that I don't think Roland are there again, which is another big one, and I'm not sure about about Fender. There are a lot of notable exceptions, as there has been previously. And one of the reasons that this other event is happening is not because it's not like a screw you to NAMM. It's like, well, there are lots of really small manufacturers, and this year there aren't any of those big distributor aggregators that will bring in, like, a lot of synth manufacturers, and each one will have a table. There aren't any of those booths this year, so this kind of off-site event on the Saturday kind of hopefully will cater for that, and we will be putting the stuff. It'll be differentiated, but it will still be coming into the NAMM stream. It'll be going through the same workflow, have the same ads in front of it, and everything from our point of view. I want to say thanks to our sponsors, by the way, Baby Audio and Sound Toys, actually, two main sponsors this year, so thanks to them. So we'll be seeing those guys. What would I like to see? I'm curious to see what the trends are as well. I mean, I wonder if it's going to be, how much AI wash there will be over every product. Is there any way that this product has any kind of AI attached to it? Okay, great. We'll use that in the marketing. I don't think that that's necessarily the case. I'm going to have a meeting with Jessica Powell, who we chatted to over Christmas, who is the stem separation head of the CEO Audio Shake. So we'll have a chat with them. So I might come away with some more information about what to expect. And I think there's interesting, but the whole AI thing I think is going to be interesting. I think we're heading towards, just on offside, is maybe we'll end up with specialist expert AIs. I don't want a paperclip, I want something to tell me specifically about, like, maybe a certain piece of software or a certain music production system or technique that I can quiz, that will know the entire manual, will have done all the transcripts of all the videos made about such a thing. So you can ask it some questions and it can limit its responses to what it knows about a very specific area or expertise or range of equipment. And I think that's probably going to be where we see AI go. Not that that's really got anything to do with the question I asked myself, but expert systems rather than general systems, and I think that will be the case. But yeah, we'll be there, all being well. I mean, there's only we've got a smaller team this year just because there just isn't as much to cover, hopefully. But there'll still be plenty. We worked out, because we could probably shoot 10 videos a day each. Me and Ed are doing 4 days. That'll be 80 videos, and then Jim's there as well, so we'll probably do 100, somewhere between 70 and 100, and I'll be happy. So there'll be plenty of stuff. So don't distract. I'm going to go see the Zoom people as well, because I think they've got new recorders, and I want to. I'd like to give them some input, because there's going to be some more stuff. So there'll be plenty of stuff, but we should probably wrap things up now, just because it's getting that time. So we'll come back. Matt, you're presumably back off to figure out where you're staying, what inoculations you need, where your decals are going to be printed from, or you're going to take your banners or get them printed there, your nightmare logistics of show stuff. I don't envy you that. Yeah. I'm kind of happy that we've done this many times before, and we don't need to think about it too much.
You've just put the fear in me. I thought it was all going to be like, just turn up at the airport, chill out, and that's it. Sorry, someone's trying to call me. I thought it would just be like, pretty relaxed, but now I've suddenly feel like I've got a big list of things to do. Thanks, Nick, but really looking forward to it. And if anyone is there in LA and that side of the pond, do come and say hello. Even if you don't want to play with the Stylophone stuff, it's always lovely to see you all. So I'll be there. I think we're in booth 13701. I think you'll see it on the map. I should know. Yeah, see it on the map. Get the app. Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thanks very much, Matt, for joining us. An absolute pleasure. We'll see you, and we'll see you next week, obviously. So, in a weird way, there's no show next week, obviously, but we're at another show together. How bizarre! And of course, Paulee, Bo there, where they'll be looking at the Liven Sega Mega Synth review, which we look forward to when we get back. Hopefully, I hope you have a lot of fun with that, and we'll speak to you very soon. Are you still working on the soundtrack, or you got other stuff? Baby, I suppose you kind of.
I am proper into mixing it now and blending, ambiences that were recorded in random Japanese arcades. Blending that kind of underneath the music and the vocals.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And messing with some noise reduction stuff, I've been using an older version of iZotope RX to do a bit vocal noise reduction on one arcade legend who was unfortunately recorded with the loudest fan in the room ever. But so I've been using little techniques, get rid of some of the noise and make sure the music's in key with the rest of the fan noise that's left and stuff like that, blend in little sound effects. And it's sounding really nice. So I can kind of watch the first 5 or 6 minutes now without grimacing at any major mixing errors. So I think I'm on the right track, oh, that's off. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, I can do that now. So I'm just going to continue doing it until it doesn't suck, basically. That's all you do in music. Keep going.
Do it till it doesn't suck. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Excellent. And, of course, we have Rich Hilton, who's enjoying a bit of time at home. Hopefully can kick back and, just enjoy a much broader palette of clothes and refreshments, all that kind of stuff.
Clothes.
I hope you're doing well, Rich. I look forward to seeing you next time. So thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's always great, Nick, and great to see you, Matt and Paulie.
So I'm trying to remember. I should have written it down. What were there was a couple of show titles that came to mind. I can't remember what any of them were now. I just should have written them down.
Sonicstate the Hedgehog was one.
Sonicstate the Hedgehog. That's it. Sonicstate the Hedgehog. That's quite long.
That's a
the Hedgehog. All right. I'll put that one down. That's good. Thank you very much. That was Technomatic. Right, well, that's it for this week. Thank you, everybody. We'll switch to the Celebrity Squares shot and we'll wave you out. But that's it. That was Sonic Talk 787. Don't forget, no show next week. Probably a show when we get back the Wednesday. I came back on the Tuesday. I might be fit for show. If not, I'll let you know. See you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.